Before fire, before language, before history even began, love already existed. Tonight, we're traveling back 50,000 years to a time when cavemen walked barefoot under the stars and romance was whispered through glances, not words. There were no rings, no candles, no dates, just raw, silent emotions under moonlit skies. A man might offer a smooth river stone as a symbol of affection. A woman might braid grass into his hair. This was prehistoric love, pure, silent, and powerful. You're about to discover the untold love stories of cavemen before fire was ever lit. Every single day was a fight for survival. Men hunted with sharpened stones and wooden spears, tracking wild animals for miles. Women gathered roots and berries with babies wrapped to their backs. But after the struggle, there was something more, something sacred. They sat close at night, sharing warmth, food, and unspoken feelings. Romance wasn't in words, it was in actions. In a world of danger and darkness, love was protection. These ancient people showed affection by risking their lives for each other. That was their daily life. But love wasn't easy. Even in the Stone Age, there were jealousies, rivalries, secret rituals. Men competed for attention using hunting trophies and rare bones. Tribal dances weren't just celebrations, they were displays of strength and attraction. And women, they were wise. They chose partners not just for survival, but for the way they made them feel safe. These prehistoric relationships were filled with silent codes, body language, and emotional bonding, long before the invention of spoken words. This was romance in its most primal form.
Hey guys, tonight we step into a world that's far removed from your phone buzzes, traffic lights, and to-do lists. Tonight, we're waking up as a caveman, or cavewoman if you prefer, in a world where your only morning alarm is the crackling fire, or maybe the screech of a giant bird circling overhead. Your bed, a patch of moss over cold stone. Your pillow, maybe a bundle of dry grass, or the back of someone snoring beside you. The cave air is thick and smoky, the last bits of last night's fire still curling upward in slow spirals. You blink through the hazy light filtering in from the mouth of the cave and stretch. Not too far though, because your shoulder still hurts from that time you slept on a rock. You're stiff, sore, and definitely not headed to a hot shower. You shift slightly to avoid a sharp pebble and try not to wake up the small child snuggled near your side. You hear rustling outside. The early risers in your tribe are already out there. Maybe someone's tending to the fire. Maybe someone's gone to check the traps. Either way, you know the morning routine well. First things first, you need to stay alive today. You slip outside, barefoot, toes cold against the packed earth. You scan the clearing. There's a distant rustle in the bushes, probably just a rabbit, but your heart still jumps. Out here, it could just as easily be a wolf, or a cave lion, or a very hungry human from another tribe. The sun is barely peeking over the ridge. It doesn't warm much, but at least you can see. Light means safety. Darkness, well, we'll talk about that later. You yawn, stomach already growling, and mentally run through the day's necessities: food, water, fire, and making sure no one dies. It's not quite the live, laugh, love vibe of your great-aunt's kitchen decor, but it's your reality. A few embers remain from the fire pit, and someone has already begun to nurse it back to life. You crouch beside the flickering coals, blowing gently to encourage the flames. Fire isn't just warmth, it's survival. It keeps the animals away. It cooks what would otherwise kill you. And most importantly, it's the closest thing your people have to magic. Someone tosses in a few sticks, and soon a flickering flame grows strong again. You sit back and let the warmth kiss your face, finally easing the tension in your jaw. There's a quiet moment, one of those rare peaceful pauses before the day becomes a series of calculated risks. Historians still argue whether early humans had any kind of organized schedule. Did someone lead? Did tasks rotate? Or was it all chaos and instinct? Whatever the case, you know your place. You're not the strongest, but you're clever. You know which berries aren't deadly. You can throw a rock with surprising precision, and when night falls, you're pretty good at making stories up for the kids. There's a distant howl, not too close, but enough to remind everyone why they sleep in groups. You glance back at the cave, half hidden in the rocky outcrop. It's not cozy, but it's home. Nearby, a child picks up a stick and begins to draw squiggles in the dirt. You smile. Maybe she's just scribbling, or maybe, just maybe, she's inventing writing before writing even exists. You'll never know. The sun climbs a little higher. Your tribe begins to stir. Someone coughs, someone laughs, someone else, a little too far from the fire, lets out a surprised yelp. Probably stepped on something sharp. The day begins, and it begins the same way it always does. 100 little tasks, none of them guaranteed to succeed, all of them vital. No coffee, no plan, just instinct, memory, and the hope that today the predators stay in their caves, and the roots you eat don't try to kill you from the inside out. You stretch again, watching your breath mist in the cold air. Another day begins in the Stone Age, and you're already late. You don't eat first. That's a luxury reserved for people with fridges, grocery stores, and Uber Eats. In your world, before food comes caution. Before breakfast comes not being eaten. You step out into the open with the practiced paranoia of someone who knows that the line between predator and prey is thin, and often you're the one on the menu. The trees at the edge of the camp cast long shadows, and you scan them instinctively. Anything could be out there. Hyenas, leopards, even another human with less fire and more desperation. Your senses sharpen like stone tools. Every rustle matters. Every twig snap might be something hungry. And if the fire didn't survive the night, well, you've got two choices. Rub sticks together for half the day until you finally get a spark, or borrow flame from a neighbor and hope they don't see you as competition. Neither sounds great. You quietly thank the gods, or maybe just the smarter member of the tribe, that the fire's still burning. Before you can think of food, you need to make sure today doesn't start with a surprise ambush. So you do the rounds. You move around the cave's edge, where your group leaves waste or scraps, the kind of scent markers that attract trouble. You notice fresh claw marks on a nearby tree, deep and deliberate. Something big was here, maybe a bear, maybe something worse. But it's not here now, and that's all that matters. Your feet are cold, crusted with dirt, and scraped from the rocks, but they move fast. You're surprisingly good at spotting danger now. There's an eagle's nest in the cliff above, and you know that means snakes might be nearby. They like to snack on bird eggs, and you're not about to step into that buffet. You hear the snort of one of the tribe's best hunters just waking up. He grumbles, scratches his beard, and stretches like someone who didn't just spend the night on hard stone. He's missing 2 fingers on one hand and a chunk of ear, but he's still one of the best you've got. He nods at you and heads off toward the forest with a spear that's seen better days. You know he'll be back by mid-afternoon, if he's lucky. If not, well, that's just how it goes. Before he disappears into the trees, he tosses you a bone. A real one, maybe from yesterday's antelope. You smile. It's not a gift. It's a subtle reminder. Don't waste this. Bones mean tools, needles, hooks, fire pokers. A single animal's death feeds more than stomachs. Historians still argue whether cavemen had roles as defined as ours. Were there leaders? Scouts? Fire guys? Or was it more like organized chaos? But even without official titles, you and your tribe know who does what. And you? You're the one who knows where the safe water is. Not clean water, there's no such thing, but safe enough that your insides won't rebel within hours. So you grab a hollowed-out gourd, one that still smells faintly of fermentation, and set off toward the stream. You follow the familiar path, marked with stone piles and the occasional tuft of hair tied to a tree branch. Primitive wayfinding, but effective. The air is crisp and carries the smell of damp earth. A few birds call overhead, warning each other of your approach. At the stream, you kneel and inspect the water. No dead animals floating. Good start. You splash some on your face, rubbing away the cave grit. The cold shocks your skin awake. You fill the gourd and take a cautious sip. Still alive. Excellent. And then there's breakfast. Finally. You reach into a hollow tree stump where someone hid a stash of nuts and roots, covered in moss. It's not glamorous. There's a beetle or two. Maybe something's been gnawing at the corner. But it's food. You pop a root slice into your mouth and chew slowly. It's bitter. Your tongue recoils, but your body is grateful. Suddenly there's a sound, a crunch of twigs just beyond the brush. You freeze, gourd in hand, chewing stops, your breath slows. Whatever it is, it hasn't seen you. Or maybe it has and it's pretending not to. You inch backward, keeping low, then you see it. A boar. Massive, shaggy, tusked, and mean-looking. It's drinking from the stream, grunting between gulps. You don't move. A direct stare might be a challenge. An accidental sound might be suicide. You wait. It drinks. It grunts. It turns and walks away. Your breath releases all at once, like steam from a boiling pot. You backtrack slowly, not daring to believe your luck. That's how it works in your world. 1 minute you're thinking about nuts, and the next you're almost bacon. You make it back to the camp just in time to hear a loud whoop. A signal from the cliffs above. Someone found honey, or a fresh kill, or maybe a new cave with fewer bats. Either way, it's a sign of hope. You sit by the fire and share your gourd water with a wide-eyed teenager who smells like he hasn't bathed in forever, which, to be fair, he hasn't. You chew another piece of root, this time less bitter, and the ache in your jaw feels like victory. Foraging isn't as easy as plucking apples off a grocery shelf and tossing them in a cart. In your world, nature doesn't label things organic or toxic. There's no friendly cashier to warn you that one berry gives you energy, while the one next to it makes your stomach do backflips for 2 days. No, sir, this is wild guessing, with stakes. So after ensuring the camp is secure and gulping down a meal of chewy root and yesterday's leftover squirrel fat, you head off into the underbrush with a few others. You grip a sharpened stick, not to stab anything, yet, but to poke at plants and disturb snakes before they disturb you. You carry a pouch made of stitched animal bladder, which smells like regret, but holds your precious finds. Your feet slap against leaves, slick with dew. The forest is humid, fragrant with wet bark and pollen, and filled with constant sound. Buzzing insects, creaking trees, the occasional thump that sounds too large to investigate. Foraging is a team sport, if only to make sure that when someone eats a bad mushroom, the rest of the group knows not to. You split up, but not too far. The rule is simple. If you can't hear someone grunt, you've gone too far. You scan the forest floor with sharp eyes. There's a patch of red berries, shiny, inviting, and probably death disguised as dessert. You step past them. Last time someone tried those, he hallucinated a storm god and danced into the fire. Not ideal. You move further downhill, toward a fallen log you remember from yesterday. Underneath, if luck's on your side, are mushrooms, earthy, firm, and safe, mostly. You poke one with a stick, give it a sniff, no sour tang. You take 2, that's enough. Too much of anything out here is a gamble. Then you spot something golden, honey. Well, not the honey itself, but the buzz gives it away. A hive wedged between 2 rocks, sticky and shimmering in the sun. Now, most people would walk away. You are not most people. You're hungry, and your tribe's kids haven't had anything sweet since the last time someone got stung into unconsciousness. So you throw smoke, an old trick. A smoldering branch under the hive makes the bees woozy, distracted. You wait. heart pounding. The air thickens with the scent of warm wax. The bees settle. You reach in with a carved spoon. Yes, a spoon. It took 3 days to make and looks like a bent stick. You scoop just enough to fill a piece of bark. Sticky, golden treasure. You grin, proud and bee-bitten. There's a small fruit tree nearby, figs, wrinkled and dark. You check the underside for bite marks. Good, no birds got here first. You take 4 and stash them away. Then, nearby, you spot something curious. Clumps of grass braided together and tied around a tree. You frown. That's not natural. Another tribe has been here, or still is. That tightens your chest a little. Historians still argue whether prehistoric groups were territorial or simply migratory. Did they fight over food zones? Did they mark forests like dogs mark hydrants? Or was everything shared and passed along like a Stone Age picnic? Whatever the truth, you make a mental note. Someone else is nearby, and they might not be friendly. Back near the clearing, a young girl runs up, holding something in her hands. Grubs, fat, wiggling, and exactly what you hoped not to eat today. She beams, proud of her find. You smile back. She's learning. One day she'll know which bugs are protein-packed snacks and which ones make your tongue swell to the size of a squirrel. You lay out your haul on a sun-warmed rock. Figs, 2 mushrooms, a couple of bitter greens, and that sweet golden patch of honey. Others begin adding theirs. Nuts, roots, even a single quail egg, still warm. It's not much, but combined, it's survival. The kids gather, sticky fingers dipping into the honey, their laughter echoing through the clearing. One smears some on a rock and begins painting with it. Not art really, just doodles, but maybe, just maybe, the first step toward culture. As you eat a fig and lick honey from your fingers, you notice your fingernails are chipped and black with soil. There's a beetle in your lap, and you can't tell if it's dead or sleeping. You flick it off. The sun rises higher. Foraging is dude. Hunting is a whole different beast, literally and figuratively. Foraging is quiet, slow, thoughtful. Hunting, that's controlled chaos with a side of near-death experiences. You're not the biggest, fastest, or strongest predator out here. In fact, you're pretty low on the food chain. So when it's hunting time, you don't rely on brute strength. You rely on brains, coordination, and just a hint of madness. You grab your spear. It's tipped carefully hardened by fire and chipped from flint. It's not perfect, and you've had to reattach it twice with animal sinew, but it's yours. You run a thumb down the shaft, checking for cracks. It creaks slightly. That's fine. You've taken down worse with less. The hunting group gathers, 3 adults, including yourself, 1 teenager eager to prove himself, and the one-eyed elder who somehow still moves like a panther. He doesn't talk much, but when he gestures, everyone listens. He points toward the valley. That's where the trails lead. That's where the game hopefully waits. The trek begins. You leave behind the humming comfort of the cave, the scent of ash and safety, and enter the open land of predators. The sun beats down, dust clings to your skin. There's no silence here, just tension. Every crunch of dry grass is both a clue and a threat. After half an hour, the one-eyed man stops. He crouches, inspects a trail, a cloven hoofprint, sharp and recent. Maybe a deer, maybe something tastier like a wild pig. He grunts, then points at broken twigs. Someone's already chasing it. Historians still argue whether early hunters worked in elaborate traps or improvised based on the animal. Some digs suggest massive pitfall systems with sharpened stakes. Others show nothing more than scattered stone tools and good luck. Today, you're going old school. Chase, corner, and prey. You split into a formation, circling the brush ahead. Your heart thumps louder than your footsteps. You step lightly, testing each patch of earth with your toes first. A bird takes off from a tree. Your eyes follow its arc instinctively. You freeze. There, a flash of brown through the underbrush. Antlers, a deer, medium-sized. You lock eyes for half a second before it bolts. And just like that, the world explodes into motion. You charge. The others shout. The deer darts through the thicket. hooves tearing up the ground. Your spear is ready, but the gap is too wide. You push harder, lungs burning, legs scraping against thorny branches. The teen is to your right, panting, waving his arms to steer the animal left, toward a rock wall where escape is harder. The deer stumbles, a bad step. You see it, so does the one-eyed elder. He throws. The spear flies in a deadly arc and thuds into the deer's side with a wet crack. It screams, a sound you never really get used to, and collapses. You slow down, breath ragged. The teen stares in shock. It's his first real kill. Technically not his spear, but close enough. He won't shut up about it later, and honestly, you'll let him have it. He earned the sprint. The elder approaches first, silent. He kneels beside the animal, murmurs something in the old tongue, then slits its throat with a sharpened shell. You watch as the life drains out. It's sad and sacred and necessary. You feel the weight of it, not just the body, but the responsibility. Then comes the messy part. You start butchering. There's no waiting around, no dragging it back whole. That invites scavengers. You cut fast and efficiently. Meat, organs, hide. You've done it so many times that your fingers work without thinking. You know which parts to save and which to toss. The liver is warm and glistening. You take a bite. It tastes like copper and heat, but it means strength. At least, that's what the elders say. The teen looks queasy. You'll tease him later. A few birds circle overhead. They've noticed. You'll leave scraps for them. Sharing keeps balance, and sometimes birds scream warnings when predators approach. You tie the meat in bundles using vines and leather straps. It's heavy, slick, and still warm. Your shoulders sag under the weight. Still you smile. Dinner is secured. Then there's the unexpected part. A set of fresh human footprints nearby, heading in the same direction you just came from. Not yours, not your tribe's. That little tension in your spine returns. You glance at the elder. He's already noticed. He nods once and your pace back to camp becomes brisk. The return hike feels longer. Every rustle sounds like someone watching. Every shadow might move. Back at camp, the others cheer at the sight of the meat. The kids dance. The fire crackles higher. The teen puffs his chest like a puffed-up rooster. He starts retelling the hunt 3 different ways before the sun fully sets. None of them include tripping on a root, which you clearly remember. As the sun begins to dip and the air cools, you feel it. The weight of another day survived. You didn't just hunt.
Evening in your caveman world doesn't just gently arrive. It descends like a thick blanket, bringing both relief and unease. You've made it through another day. You're alive. But now the night begins its silent test as the horizon swallows the sun and turns it into a slow burning ember. Your tribe begins shifting into nighttime mode. The air cools fast. Sweat from the hunt clings to your back, and now it turns icy. The fire is your first priority, not just warmth, but protection. Without fire, you're a buffet for anything with claws or curiosity. You bend beside the main hearth, feeding it dry bark and whispering sparks to life. The flames flicker like they're waking from a nap, stretching and crackling with gratitude. You shield the growing fire with your body until it catches strong, then gesture for others to bring more fuel. That fire is more than a tool. It's a social hub, a classroom, a gathering space. As people settle in close, they stretch sore limbs, sigh in relief, and begin the night's second ritual, storytelling. Tonight, an older woman leans forward, eyes twinkling. Her face is carved with 100 sunrises. She begins to speak in rhythm, voice slow
and lo, you recognize this story, the one about the boy who outran a lion and stole its cubs. Utter nonsense, but no one interrupts. Everyone leans in. Children pile into laps, sucking on roasted roots, bellies full of today's hunt. Their eyes widen. They believe it all, even the part where the lion sings a lullaby. This oral tradition isn't just entertainment, it's history disguised as myth. Mainstream archaeologists now believe these stories passed down survival tips and group values in ways memory alone never could. And yet there's still debate over whether these were purely narrative or had religious significance. Were they bedtime tales or divine messages? You chuckle at a joke in the story, something about a fart loud enough to wake the dead. Jokes, surprisingly, haven't evolved much. Flatulence remains undefeated across millennia. The fire spits a few sparks. A child jumps, then giggles. The stars are beginning to show overhead, punching through the blackness. You glance upward. No city lights here, just infinity twinkling in cold silence. The constellations aren't just pretty. You use them for navigation, for marking the seasons. The big one means it's time to hunt bigger game. The three curved lines, that's the rainy season's warning. Nearby, someone starts humming deep, slow notes that thrum in your chest, a kind of lullaby, though no one's sleeping yet. You feel the rhythm in your bones and your fingers tap along. No drums, but someone's got a hollowed out log and a stick, and now it's music. You turn your attention to the tools. Sharpening a blade is a meditative task. You pull a flint chip from your pouch and run it along the edge of a bone knife. Sparks again, always sparks. They seem to follow you. Then the chatter softens. Heads begin to droop. Even the teen from earlier, fresh from his imaginary heroism, is half asleep, cradling a bit of hide like a blanket. But not everyone sleeps. Night shift exists here too. Two people stay awake always. Their job, watch for movement, listen for growls, and occasionally throw a rock if something rustles too close. It's not glamorous, but it keeps you from waking up inside a saber-toothed tiger. You've taken that watch many times. You remember one night when you swore the shadows moved wrong, when the wind carried a voice you didn't recognize. But by morning there was nothing, just footprints that didn't belong to any animal you knew. You don't talk about that night much. Tonight, though, your shift comes later. For now, you sit beside the fire, warmth sinking into your joints, thoughts floating. A girl next to you is sketching something in the dirt with a stick, two animals, maybe a chase. It's simple, but it tells a story. You smile. That could be the first comic strip. Historians still argue whether cave art was created by shamans in trance-like states or simply bored teenagers doodling before bedtime. Either way, it's proof your people are thinking in pictures, in meaning, in memory. The fire burns lower, the stars get brighter, the air smells like roasted marrow and burnt bark. Somewhere out there, wolves howl, not close, but close enough. You let your eyelids droop just for a minute. You earned this. A stone shifts behind you. You jolt. Nothing there, probably.
Sleep in your caveman world isn't 8 hours of uninterrupted bliss. It's more like cautious drifting, light, alert, and scattered. You don't have a mattress. You don't even have a pillow unless you count a folded deer hide stuffed with grass. And forget privacy. You sleep shoulder to shoulder with your tribe, a tangle of limbs and snores, surrounded by smoke and the occasional sleep talker reenacting a mammoth chase. Tonight you lie on your side, wrapped in a fur that still smells faintly of wet animal. You're sandwiched between a snoring uncle and a child who's using your ribcage as a pillow. The fire flickers dimly nearby, casting orange waves over everything. It's not cozy, but it's familiar. You're never truly asleep. Every sound makes your ears twitch. A snapping branch outside could be a deer, could be a leopard. Your eyes shoot open, then close again. Even in sleep, your brain runs drills. It dreams in survival codes. Mainstream scholars believe our ancestors slept in short bursts, waking often through the night to scan for danger. Deep sleep, that luxury came much later when stone walls and bolted doors replaced hope. Nothing bites you in your sleep. You stir as a whispery voice beside you murmurs something, half dream, half memory. A child nearby kicks in their sleep, landing a soft jab into your shin. You don't even flinch anymore. It's part of the routine. Someone's on night watch, thank goodness. You hear the quiet crunch of their steps outside the firelight. You trust them, mostly, except for that time last season when one fell asleep on his watch and a raccoon dragged off 3 eggs and a child's necklace. That necklace is still a sore subject. As you drift again, your thoughts slow. You picture the stars above, cold and constant. Maybe there's a spirit in them, watching. Maybe it's just light from millions of years ago, casually witnessing your humble nap. You don't know, but it feels safe, comforting. Then, not far off, a sound, soft but distinct, a whoop, human. Your eyes snap open. The night watch stops moving. Silence.
Everyone else is still asleep, but your heart is wide awake. Another whoop, not aggressive, not close, but definitely human. You sit up slowly, careful not to wake the child on your chest. You peer into the dark, eyes adjust, nothing yet. There are many theories about how early humans signaled across distances. Some say vocalizations like that were used for communication, friendly or otherwise. Others argue they were ritual sounds, part of nocturnal ceremonies. Then there are those who think we simply liked shouting into the dark just to see if something shouted back. The sound comes again, fainter now. Maybe they're moving away. You exhale, tension unwinding just a bit. You lie back down, but this time facing the entrance. You sleep in layers now, half awareness, half dream. And what dreams they are. You dream of running through trees, of being chased and chasing, of fire that dances on water, of animals that speak and skies that rain feathers. Dreams aren't just leftovers from the day, they're practice runs, tests for the unknown. One moment you're curled beside your tribe, the next in your dream you're standing on a cliff's edge, watching the ocean swallow the stars. Your ancestors speak in winds and gestures. A voice tells you where the deer will run next spring. Another warns of snow. You stir. Someone else mumbles. A cough echoes. Then silence. You roll to your other side. Something jabs you in the back. A pebble, always a pebble. You toss it away and try again. Eventually, the fire dims to embers and dawn begins to stretch its fingers over the horizon. Not sunlight yet, just that grey hush, the world deciding whether to wake or stay in bed. People begin stirring. One by one, they sit up, rub their faces, grunt greetings. The one-eyed elder is already upright, scanning the treetops. You stretch, bones popping like knuckles on a giant. Despite the fits and starts, you slept, you survived. That's the goal, always has been. You splash cold water on your face from the nearby stream. It shocks your system awake. Then you squat, scratch at a bug bite, and glance at the forest edge. Whatever that whoop was last night, it's gone now. Still, you won't forget it, and tonight you'll sleep with one eye open.
Hey guys, tonight we travel tens of thousands of years back to a time before electricity, before books, before even fire. You're not in a bedroom anymore. You're crouched by a riverbank, your feet sinking into cold mud, breathing in air that smells like moss, wet fur, and the sour tang of survival. You've just filled your hands with water when you sense it, eyes on you. You freeze, not
because of a predator, but because you feel something even more dangerous, connection. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here, and drop your location and local time in the comments. I love seeing where this tribe gathers. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You look up, and there they are, not from your clan, definitely not. Their brow ridge is thicker, nose flatter, and that jawline, it could crack bone, but it's the look in their eyes that gets you. Not fear, not hunger, something softer, curious, interested. It's awkward. You both stand, dripping. Somewhere behind you, your group yells for you to come back with water. You should, but your feet don't move. You point to the river. They nod. You both crouch again, a little closer now. You notice the necklace, bones of tiny birds strung on sinew, a charm, a warning. You wonder if they smell the crushed mint leaves you rubbed under your arms this morning, because let's be honest, prehistoric dating didn't come with deodorant. Still, it's working. You glance sideways and catch a quick smile, or maybe it's a twitch. Hard to tell. Language hasn't been invented yet, so you do the only thing you can. You stay for a long moment, just existing together. Mainstream anthropologists believe Neanderthals and early Homo sapiens avoided each other like rival sports fans at a dive bar, but traces of shared DNA say otherwise. Someone, somewhere, broke the rules. Fringe theory alert. Some believe isolated encounters like this weren't always violent. Maybe, just maybe, they were romantic. A dragonfly zips by. You both follow it with your eyes, your shoulders brushing slightly. It's a jolt, not the mosquito bite kind, the other kind, the one you can't explain, and you're starting to wonder something wild. What if love existed even before we had words for it? You finally stand and take a slow step back, water sloshing in your crude clay bowl. You gesture, clumsy and open-palmed, a half wave, an invitation. Historians still argue whether early gestures meant stay away or stay with me. You're hoping it's the latter. They watch you go. You know you'll meet here again, not because it's the only watering hole for miles, but because now this place holds a secret, one only the two of you share. Later that night, under a sky stabbed with stars, you lie beside the rest of your group, but you don't sleep. Not yet. Your heart thuds against the cold dirt. You replay every second, every glance, wondering if it meant what you think it meant. You don't know it yet, but this is how it starts, not just for you, for all of us, the long, tangled history of falling in love, of risking safety for connection, of choosing curiosity over fear, before fire, before speech, before love, poems, and dating apps, and ridiculous "what's your spirit animal" quizzes. There was this, two creatures meeting by chance and deciding, for reasons neither could explain, not to walk away.
The next day you return to the river, but not for water. You bring flint, a jagged chunk chipped just enough to suggest it might one day be useful, but not yet. You hold it like a peace offering, or maybe a question. They're already there, kneeling by the edge, scooping water into cupped hands. When they see you, there's no startle, just that same strange gaze, eyes that say, "I remember you." Even if memory doesn't have a name yet, you crouch beside them and place the flint gently on a flat rock between you. A gift, an excuse, a test, hard to say. You wait. They pick it up, turning it in thick fingers. Then they do something unexpected. They begin to chip it, slow, deliberate strikes with another stone. Flakes fall like tiny shards of frost. You watch, fascinated. It's not just skill, it's style, personal rhythm. Every tap a little heartbeat. You nod, trying not to seem impressed, but you are, very. You reach for a shard, lift it to the light, razor thin, good for skinning or cutting roots, or maybe, just maybe, carving symbols you haven't invented yet. Tool making was our earliest love language, shared gestures, shared goals. Some archaeologists believe collaborative flint napping dates back nearly 7,000 years. That's right, long before poetry, we wooed each other with sharp edges. They hand you the flint, you fumble, yours cracks wrong, you make a face. They grunt, was that a laugh? You try again, better, this time a clean slice. They lean closer to see it, their shoulder brushing yours. The warmth is shocking. You haven't touched anyone outside your kin group since ever, and now you're both leaning in, examining a sliver of stone like it's a shared secret. You realize something wild. This is a date, a prehistoric first date. No candlelight, no overpriced appetizers, just rocks, mud, and a whole lot of unspoken hope. Historians still debate how much Neanderthals understood about emotional bonding, but evidence suggests they buried their dead with care and may have nurtured injured members.
tenderness, it seems, was not a modern invention. Suddenly your flint slips and cuts your thumb. Instantly they react, reaching for your hand, inspecting it with a furrowed brow. They smear ash on the cut, then wrap it with a strip of bark. You stare at the bandage. It's crude. It stings. It's perfect. And here's the fringe fact for today. Some theorists believe early humans used plant sap and spider silk as bandages, which is wild and gross, but also kind of genius. You want to say thank you, but language is still mostly grunts and gestures. So you reach down, find another flint shard, and begin chipping. Not a tool this time, a shape, awkward, lopsided, a little heart, a sun, hard to tell, but they understand. They smile, or at least you think it's a smile. Then they add a mark of their own, 2 lines crossing yours. Together it looks like something shared, something claimed. For a moment, the air between you feels heavier, thicker, like the forest itself is holding its breath. Then a rustle behind you, your clan, searching, panic flares, but they don't run. They look at you, then back toward the trees, then back at you. They hand you the carved flint, push it gently into your palm, then they vanish into the green. You don't follow, you can't, but your chest burns like you did. Later that night, when the campfire crackles and stories are told in half-formed phrases, you keep your flint close, hidden, sacred, and you think next time maybe bring berries, or at least try not to bleed. But mostly you just hope there will be a next time.
The rain starts as a whisper, just a few fat drops on the leaves, then more, then a full sky dump that soaks your hair, your furs, your dignity, everything. You're drenched in seconds. Mud pulls at your ankles like it's trying to keep you, and honestly, it might win. You hear it before you see it. Thunder rolling like some angry mammoth god stomping overhead. You should head back to your group's shelter, but instinct tugs you the other way, toward the river, toward them. You run, half sliding, half swimming, your hair plastered to your face, rain in your eyes. You're cold, you're grumpy, you're absolutely ridiculous. And then you spot it, a low overhang of rock you hadn't noticed before, part of the limestone bluff that hugs the water's edge, just big enough for 2 people if they sit close. Guess who's already there? They look up, startled, then relieved, then pleased. You duck inside, teeth chattering
gently scoot over, your knees touch, then your thighs, then, because there's literally no space left, everything else, you're basically a human sandwich, a soggy, prehistoric sandwich. You both laugh softly, breath fogging between you. The rain drums like war against the stone, but in here it feels safe, like a bubble carved out of the chaos. Historians still argue whether early humans used natural shelters this intentionally or stumbled into them by accident. Either way, you're grateful for the stumble. They pull a bit of hide from their pouch and drape it over your shoulders. It smells like smoke, like them, like wet fur and crushed leaves. You lean in, the quiet stretches. You listen to each other breathe. The thud of your heartbeat is loud in your chest, but not unpleasant. It syncs with theirs. You wonder if they notice. They shift slightly, just enough for their hand to rest against yours. Not grabbing, just touching, barely, like a question with no punctuation. You don't move away. Instead, you turn your palm upward, fingers curling into theirs. It's clumsy. It's everything. There's no music, no poetry, no candlelight, just two damp creatures wrapped in animal skins and feelings, holding hands like it's the newest invention on earth. You glance at them. They're already looking at you. The moment stretches, tender, electric, terrifying. Then, with infinite gentleness, they press their forehead to yours. This time it feels intentional. This is the moment, the tilt toward something more. Mainstream history often paints early humans as brutish, pragmatic survivalists, but growing evidence suggests they had rituals, not just for birth and death, but for connection, soft rituals, unspoken ones, like this. Your noses bump, you giggle, yes, giggle. Evolution hasn't carved that out of you yet. They touch your jaw, your cheek, your damp, muddy hair. There's reverence in it, like they're exploring sacred ground. And honestly, you are. Fringe fact time. Some archaeologists believe the oldest traces of touch-oriented rituals appear in Neanderthal burial sites where bones show signs of gentle placement and ochre staining. Maybe it wasn't about the dead. Maybe it was about the ones left behind, about love. You stay like that for hours. The rain eases, the forest exhales. Outside, life waits, hunger, danger, hard choices. But for now, you stay wrapped together together in warmth that isn't just physical, and when you finally emerge, blinking in the light, there's a new rhythm between you, a pact written in skin, not stone. No one saw it, no cave paintings captured it, but it happened. Your first true touch, and even if no one else remembers it, your bones will.
You don't know who lit the first fire. No one does. Historians point fingers in every direction. Lightning strikes, volcanic sparks, sheer luck. Fringe theorists even joke it was aliens. But whoever it was, they changed everything, because now, for the first time, your world isn't just dark when the sun dips. It glows. Tonight, someone in your group figured it out. Smoke curls through the trees like a living ribbon. A low flame dances in a pit of stone and ash, and the entire camp is circled around it.